Sorry, just had to briefly shut off for a second to get back. We're back. Yeah, they were re-entering Grey Havens, which was their original, which is where the elves are from, is the Grey Havens. And Galadriel was supposed to go back, but she decided at the last second to keep going. That's where Frodo, at the end of the trilogy, goes back to. I find it really interesting. You know, Tolkien was a big mythology buff, so I always try and map where like Tolkien got his inspiration from onto like I was kind of trying to figure out where like okay, mythologically, what is this? And this is I suspect this may in fact be loosely based on the Book of Invaders from Irish mythology, because it's about a group of people who go to a land and fight a land full of monsters, and their leader is called the High King, which is all very Irish mythology thing. So that possibly is it. If you've never read Irish mythology, a lot of it has to. The most famous part is the War of the Menorians or the Maurians. I forget how you say it exactly. Which is, anyways, it's really quite fascinating. So we're getting a wizard too. Okay, so here's what I liked, and here's what I was worried about when coming into this, because I had a very specific worry when dealing with this show, and I had a very specific want from it. I did not want this to be Game of Thrones. I love Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is great. Lord of the Rings should not be Game of Thrones. Lord of the Rings needs to be its own thing. Lord of the Rings needs to focus on what makes itself strong and what Game of and it. Because when I first heard the announcements of this, there's going to be like casting alerts for like, you know, there should be like, you know, actors should be okay with like nudity and sex, and I'm like, don't make this Game of Thrones. Just don't make this Game of Thrones. Like that's not needed. And so far, it's not. I like most of the characters. I'm really worried one of the characters got really straddled with the most boring. I'm nervous that one of the characters got stuck with a very boring character arc. We'll see. We'll say humans. It's the humans that screw up all the things. Anytime somebody has to deal with humans in Fantasy World, it's like, I'm reading. We'll see. Yeah, it's good. I'm liking it so far. I give it my full approval. So what do we want to do now? Do we want to watch it? Do we want to watch the second episode? We could. Not like I have anything better to do. Or we could sit here and we could actually do some. Okay, let's write. That's what I was going to say. Hey, Dippy T, yahoo! What's good? We just watched Rings of Power, the first episode of Rings of Power, and I think me and Eek here are on general agreement that we liked it. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I came in with a very specific fear, and I'm glad that. And watching the first episode, see, the whole time they were making the show, it's the human stuff, right? It's the human stuff that kind of sucks. It's always the humans. It's always the humans that are boring. That's my only real complaint, is I find the humans story like super boring. The elves are fun. The hobbits are. Yeah, I was gonna say the elves are fun. The hobbits are fun. We haven't seen the dwarves yet, but I bet they'll be fun. But it's the humans are the boring ones. Yeah, I liked all of the stuff except for the human village. The human village was super boring, and the human story is kind of honestly, it's kind of dull. It's good actors. It's just it's good actors. It's a good performance. It's just they've been given a really dull storyline, and it's just not as interesting as the other ones, unfortunately. But like my very specific fear was. So, I am kind of a Lord of the Rings fan. So you see this thing? See this thing I'm wearing? Not to be super nerdy. I went to New Zealand and took the Lord of the Rings tour, and this is from the actual costume shop that made the cloaks for the movies. Made the cloaks for the movies, and made from the actual wool that they use for the cloaks. Both. I haven't read all the books. I've read the trilogy, but I haven't read every book because there's a lot of stuff that I need to sort of work through. During the pandemic, I read like half of the Children of what is it? Oh, anyways, the books are beautifully written. They're just long, and I get distracted easily. But so like my very specific fear with Lord of the Rings was. That they were going to turn into Game of Thrones. And I love both of those. I love Song of Fire and Ice. I love Lord of the Rings. But like, Dippy, what I was so afraid of, like, this whole time, like, the production was being announced, please don't make this a Game of Thrones. Don't, like, turn this into just Game of Thrones with Lord of the Rings stuff. That was my... Yeah, that was my... Because I remember, about a couple of years back, there was a casting announcement. Yeah, as Lord of the Rings should be. Lord of the Rings is not a like Game of Thrones is hard R stuff, but Lord of the Rings should be like PG-13. It's not, there's violence and stuff, but it's not like, it's not Game of Thrones. And I like both of them. I don't want them to be. I don't want one like Game of Thrones would not be improved. Like trying to make Game of Thrones more like Lord of the Rings would also ruin Game of Thrones. If that makes sense. Oh, that's not. Oh, people never comment on the poster. No. I made that. That's me. Where am I? It's me and some of my friends. Hey, Sapling! Yeah, no, I made this. This is a poster I made just for the heck of it. That's me. That's my friend Rhea and a few other people I know. Yeah. Also, I like playing around with like Photoshop stuff, so I made it just for the heck of it. Thank you. Well, I mean, it's based on an old film. It's based on an old film poster. And hi, Seth. Old film poster, and then I just kind of Photoshop. Actually, I use deepfakes and Photoshop to like put our faces onto theirs. Thank you. It was fun. It was a lot of fun to make. Yeah. I've occasionally thought of selling it, but I'm like, it's real. The AI stuff is real fun to play with. I'm an artist, like art, just straight up, and AI stuff is real fun to play with. But oh my god, I have nothing. I've had slight stress dreams about it, where it's like, oh god, this stuff is so easy. It's gonna replace me. Yeah, but it's fun to play with. It's very fun to play with. Yeah. It's just the truth, unfortunately. Yeah, I know it'll take 10, maybe longer. I mean, I'm more of a traditional. I'm more of a traditional artist. Well, it's getting better every day, which is unfortunate. I'm more of a traditional artist, so I believe I still will have a place, but yeah, there is portents, like I can see exactly why artists are freaking out about it, There is portents of danger. Exactly. It is terrifying for artists. Well, that might I would say you would run into possibly a legal issue with that, but it is and artists have a very justified reason for being terrified. I would say there would be a legal issue with that, theoretically, Dippy, in my opinion. There would definitely be a legal issue with that. Not with the technology itself, but people using other artists' work as AI basis. There's going to be a big legal issue with that, in my opinion. Like, you can get away, I suspect, with like... Yeah, okay, so, but here, yes, you can copy it, but the problem is you're not copying it, you're deriving from it. You're using the work of somebody else to create something new, and yeah. So there is a law possible. So that's where the problem will come. The question will come really down to who's the real artist, Dippy. That's the real question. Yeah, no, but the question will come down to who's actually creating the art. But the human brain is humans have more rights than machines, Dippy. They have more rights than the machines. Humans get to do things machines can't. AIs don't have the right, and humans have the ability. Humans have the innate right to mimic, but machines don't. That's what it's going to come down to. If I'm trying to impersonate somebody's, that's going to be the real question. If we want to, that's going to be the real question. And I don't know. It's because I think it could be categorized as an unlawful use, like unlawful, like, okay, so how copyright law works, basically. We have to understand how basically copyright law works. And copyright law works, the main source, if you are in a copyright violation, if you are successfully, if you have derived, if you have lost, if you've lost, if you successfully, if you are competing against somebody, if you've deprived the person of making money off of their own art. So, like, what will probably happen, so here's what will probably happen. Artists will release personal AIs, is probably what's going to happen. Because if somebody creates a machine that can perfectly mimic another artist's work, that would be probably illegal because you're depriving that artist of the potential to earn money off of their art. So, I don't think traditional art as a thing probably will go away anytime. Yeah, but I think that's the argument that will probably be made. And yes, do I have incredible stress dreams about AI? All the time. It's pretty much dominating my thoughts. And have I had at least 3 stress nightmares about AI machines killing me? Yep. We'll still have jobs, but the pool, Dippy, will be much more limited. But the pool, though, Dippy, will be will be limited. Ironically, I'm going to say this. Ironically, traditional artists might be safer than digital artists in a lot of ways. This is something I realized because traditional art in and of itself is still worth more. Because of the process of having to physically make it, that's an inherent value in and of itself. And anybody who can do that, there's an inherent value in something being handmade. I know we're supposed to be talking Rings of Power here, but I have interesting thoughts. So digital art may be okay because anybody. Yeah, that's bullshit. That was bullshit. That person. I've been kind of Listen, is it digital art? Yeah, but it's not. That wasn't the implication of that contest. That should have never been entered. There should be I believe there should be a separate category for that. That person was just frankly lying about what they were doing. But like, what was I saying? So, yeah, I it was a Dippy. Let me tell you that it was me reading that news is what caused the stress nightmare to happen. So reading that piece of news caused the stress nightmare to happen. So, what was I saying? Yeah. So traditional art may, in a weird way, have retain value because people who would want traditional art were just going to do it anyways. Whereas, like, the person that may really be hit is like the digital artist or something. I don't know. See, the thing I'm really worried about is what happens to like the entire creativity industry when you can AI generate a whole like story just for yourself. Like, yeah, I will say though that Dippy, that cars ruined the entire fucking world. So that would be. I will say that cars ruined fucking everything. But that was the analogy you used. Yeah. Well, Dippy, the fear I have, and the fear most people have, is we are kind of like creating, we're kind of removing ourselves from the equation of doing anything, but we're not, as a society, working towards that eventual possibility. Do you know what I mean? We're automating ourselves out of like jobs, and now apparently we seem to be automating ourselves out of creativity, which horrifies me. It just does. I get it's fun, and I get it. There's probably no fighting it. But what horrifies me is that it seems nobody is prepping for this future where only a few people will make any money, and it's like I I personally think like the human touch of art will never really be lost. And see, the thing though is about the whole thing of like your brain. Yeah, the thing I really want to push back though against the thing about like your. So there's this, as an artist, your brain takes your influences and siphons them through your own experiences, and that's what creates like unique art. Even though you're heavily influenced by somebody, you can never truly copy. Your heroes. You can only give an impression of them, and that's like individual art. That's individual. Individualism. But AI likes to perfectly replicate it. But arguably, like AI may even not perfectly replicate it and only take the biases of the people who created it, which is a whole thing. So, I mean, we'll always want people making these things. I think. Nobody is really happy with like a fully AI creation. Like the few times they've done it. Like, the thing about any AI creation is that it will be incredibly generic, Like, there's no way an AI creation will never not be generic, because it'll just follow structure, like the extreme structure of other stories. It will never be. It will never be. It can't be. What humans Well, Dippy, once that happens, then well, once we get to that point, I don't that's a whole other discussion, Dippy. That's a whole like that's that redefines life, and once we get there, I don't know exactly what. Yeah, but like that redefines like the whole like nature of humanity and like what life is exactly, and we also probably won't live to see that invention, like Dippy, like that won't be a thing. But right now, my fears are like the practical of what will happen to the world, and I don't. And I fear a future where artists are fired in mass, and companies feel because we had been getting to a point in like the art world where like artists, yeah, yeah, but it could, Dippy, it could always go away, Dippy. That's the thing. It can always go away. Vigilance must be maintained. Vigilance must be maintained. The thought, every society has thought to themselves, "Oh, nothing could go wrong. Nothing could go bad. Nothing could go bad." And then that's when everything fell and got worse. Vigilance must be maintained. It must always be maintained. But I fear. Here's my fear. I fear a society like right now. Right now, artists have been working very hard to unionize and get rights for their art, and I don't like like and like TV show like networks and TV shows like recently like artists like negotiated right like are you guys following the HBO Max situation where they got removed like a bunch of animated shows from their category. You know why the reason you know why the reason they did that, right, is because artists negotiated like royalties for that. So like the reason they got rid of it was to save money so they didn't have to pay artists. And yeah, but see, that's my fear with this stuff. It's never fair, but it being never fair means we shouldn't just give up and go like, well, it's never been fair, so it should continue to not be fair. That's not a way to like approach like society. Just because something has not been fair in the past does not mean it could not be fair in the future. Yeah. And so, but Dippy, so my fear is, it's not even my fear, it's my knowledge. This is exactly what's going to happen with this AI stuff, is that they'll eventually agree to this just to like kick them all out and work solely as much with AI as possible. You already see this in Disney essentially trying to kill acting in a lot of ways. Why is Disney so obsessed with like deep faking and like recreating like actors from old Star Wars shows and using like artificial voices? It's because if they can do that, Dippy, if they can do that, they get rid of the act. They can mostly get rid of the actor, and they don't have to pay them residuals, which is like for big actors is like for actors is a lot of money. The ideal corporate movie is one that can be solely made at a computer by 3 or 4 people, and then mass marketed to hell. That's the ideal corporate movie. Like that's the ideal corporate art, and that will be the only art that we see. Yeah. But the solution to that wasn't to cut out the animators. It was to pay them better. The solution was but Dippy, do you understand what I mean? This technology can only ever favor big corporations. Like we need to like talk best principles on this, and I only see a future. I believe I believe See, this is like the lie people like think. Yeah, but this is, it's not hard to learn art. It really isn't. But like Dippy, what I'm saying is this won't be good for you eventually as well, because AI writing is getting better, and what it'll eventually be is there will be no professional art class anymore at all. Like will remove the ability to have a professional art class in all but like maybe a few people. Does that make sense? No. Dippy, I need you to understand this as a person who's experienced stuff like this before. It always gets bad. The corporation, any major corporation will take it as far as they can. If they say they aren't, they're lying to you. They're going to take it further than they ever could before. The only thing that stops companies is people being mad at them and not buying their stuff. But if they can make it as cheap as possible, they will take it as far as possible. But we're working very hard to get rid of them. Dippy, that's the thing. And that's what makes me nervous. Even though I like playing with the stuff, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's fun to be able to like. Yeah, the pool will shrink, and it will shrink exponentially. And artists should be mad about that. Like this is a system we live in, and artists should play the hands that they get. You know what I mean? Like they should play all the cards that they can get to increase their bargaining power. Yeah. But again, I actually think digital artists will be hit harder than like traditional artists, because if you can in the end, like there is something about traditional art that people really love. Maybe it's just the knowledge that it's a physical thing, and that increases for it. Yeah. And it has not been made easier by this. But I don't know. I think digital artists are going to be hit hardest. Like, but that's what's going to happen is the thing, Dippy. That's what's going to happen. Not now. Not now. I don't think it's great. See, the thing is, I also want unique human perspectives on stuff. I don't think it's great. I think it's kind of a nightmare thing. I want like unique human perspective. Like art demand. For now we do. For now. But that you'll move vaguer and vaguer away from that, and that will just be the truth of it. Like, listen, any convenience, Dippy, comes at massive, like, this is a convenience that will cost a lot. It will change the way for society, and I don't think necessarily better. Some stuff will be better. It'll be good. Like, yeah, but digital art still require. It will, but the great lie. Yeah, but you still. But it removes the personality. A lower. Yeah. Well, it made everything. It just made everything so much better. A lower barrier of entry. It's not though. It's a new thing. Yeah, maybe. lower barrier of entry just made everything so much better. Think of all the better things. Yeah, but it's a tool the same way a hammer being driven into the skull of somebody. How do you make money with art? You sell commissions. Dippy. You sell commissions. That's how you make money with art. If people can create their... Oh, me? I don't make any. I want to. I want people to. I want people... No. Oh, I'm not a professional. I want people to pay me for my art. But, you see, closing circle. I see, Dippy, you seem like a nice person, but I have to be honest with you. I see no future where AI makes things better. I see a future. I see a future where we give creativity totally over to computer generated things. I see a future where once vibrant art communities are killed slowly but surely. I see a future where the power of art is held. I see a future where the power of art is held in the hands of 2 or 3 people, major corporations that will eventually buy. I'm talking about art, Dippy. I don't get the cancer shit. I don't care about. I'm talking about things that affect. I'm talking about art, the world of art. But so can dogs. I see a future where these things are. I see a future where art becomes almost pointless. And I don't like that future, Dippy. I don't like a future where that is a thing. I don't like a future where we forget all of our innate abilities as humans and placate only to machine-created art. Yes, but it will be totally AI art. It's already happening. That's the only future. You don't believe a word I said, do you? Every day I hear news stories and I'm like, what's the point of continuing on with any of this stuff? What's the point of continuing on with anything I've been trying for the last few years? Am I pointless? I feel pointless already. I feel like I'm being edged out as a person. I feel destruction is coming greatly. But I'm a human, Dippy. That's the thing. I'm a person. I have more rights than a machine. The machine... Once a tool becomes more important than a human, then it's a destructive thing. Art was the first thing humanity invented. Art was the first thing humanity did. No. I am as sober as I have ever been. I am speaking honestly. I am speaking from my heart. I am speaking about real fears that I have and real anxieties that I have. I am speaking about a world, about a future I dread, about a place Well, thank you for being so cavalier with my feelings. See, this is also a part of the problem that I don't like. Very cavalier. Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Humans matter more. Humans will always matter more. Okay. It's just dread. It's just horrible, horrible dread. Also, DALL-E sucks, by the way. Of the ones I use, it's the lamest one. There's DALL-E 2. DALL-E 2 is the better one, right? I want it to be known to people out there that anybody can learn to draw. It's a lie that has been told to you by real snobby artists that this is so difficult. It's not. It's a skill that just takes, that you can learn. There's no great trick to it. It's just to keep doing it. But a world where art is no longer a thing is not a world I want to be in. And I don't feel that this is ever going to be. This is an artificial world. This will turn into an artificial world created by artificial things. And eventually... And do you think writing is safe? No. The better those fiction bots get, the more possibility that eventually we will all lose our ability. That art itself will turn into nothing. It will be generic rehashes of generic rehashes. Does this make people feel uncomfortable? Does it? Good. This is my life. This is all I've been thinking about for the past months. I don't know. Is this like looming presence, this looming fear of just destruction, of just nightmare heartbreak. I see an industry. I see every traditional skill being destroyed. I see mass suicides of artists, and I see industries being wrecked asunder. I see all creativity people being finally brought under control by a couple of powerful corporations. Do you know what will happen? Eventually one of these AIs will get bought out by a major company, somebody big, and this technology will be advanced to such a point that everything involved in entertainment will be AI. We will lose new faces. We will see the dead faces of once famous actors parading around on the screen. A cruel and sick form of digital necromancy that I fear happening. We will see the removal of writing. We will see writers become at best gentle massagers of AI generated drivel, and the artist, which is a job that is in constant danger, will be gone. The professional artist will be destroyed outright, and nothing will exist. Every creativity field will shrink to almost to a size so small that it will be worthless. And after this, and this was the field I thought was safe. This was the field I thought was okay. I thought nothing could affect this because people in the end want the human touch, and the justification, like, well, humans have influence. Yes, they do, but humans also lead lives. You cannot impersonate a person perfectly. Your own influences will put it through. And listen, in the end, a person is the only. You are the only person who could have made your art, and you're sacrificing that. You're sacrificing all that was beautiful and amazing about the human spirit compared to some fucking machine, and that terrifies me, because once that's removed, what is left for humanity? What is left? What is left for anybody? What is the point of anything? I don't know. This? Just sitting and existing? When do you think they'll generate AI reality shows? Because that's going to happen at some point, right? I mean, The Sims is pretty much that. I always thought in some way art was about communicating something deep in your soul to other people. And I thought in many ways it was the purest form of human expression. I was trying to remember very hard why people didn't like The Hero's Journey. And it occurred to me just now why people didn't like it. Because people didn't like thinking that we... I see no good future for this technology in the art world. I see a great future in the medicine world and many other places, but I see no good future for this. And I wish people would be sympathetic to that. I wish people would stop thinking of artists as like some cultural elites. Anybody can create art. Anybody should be able to create art. And you can just sit there with pencil and create fucking art. And it's worthy, and it's justified, and it's amazing. And the fact that you are a human who can sit there and do it is beautiful. We seem to be the only species in the universe capable of doing this, and the fact that we can do it so successfully and so articulately and communicate something about us every time we do it is great. And we just subjugate ourselves. We just willingly give up any freedoms we have for convenience. I do think it's like the horse and buggy versus the car, because the car fucking killed everything. A good society, a justifiable society, is a society with a robust art world and arts, with a variety and diversity of it. A society that doesn't care about that stuff, that doesn't care about what the art it creates, is a society that is conquered by somebody, that only serves to make the rich richer and to fight in endless wars. And I feel that so deeply in my heart. Without people creating stuff, and when people create things, it's all that's left over. And I dread it. I just dread it. I just dread it. Because what's going to happen now is artists are going to now try and impersonate AI. We have given up our innate human rights. And we did it so willingly. And I get nightmares. I get nightmares from this. I get stress dreams. I can't think straight. It's been hard to motivate myself to do this stuff because people talk more and more about this. Like, what the fuck did I do? What the fuck? Why? What the fuck do people hate? Like, people who can create for? Why was this technology so needed? Why was this thought process so needed? Why did we have to kill it? So that's how I feel about AI art. And I'm aware it's not perfectly logical. I'm aware it's not perfectly whatever. But don't subjugate yourself to machines. Your desire as a person should not be more machine-like. It should be, I don't know what, but it shouldn't be that. A society should not be built around the machine. A society needs to be built around people and what people need. Okay, I'm good.